But Sixers coach Doc Rivers said before facing the Clippers this weekend, there's two staple squads are still the teams to beat in the West. Stephen A., who should feel most disrespected by Doc Rivers' comments?
I would say the Utah Jazz. And the reason I would say the Utah Jazz is because of what we've seen from them this year, the way they play together, how exceptionally well coached they are. They're the number one seed. Last time we saw them against the Lakers, they blew them out. Donovan Mitchell is a star in this league, ladies and gentlemen. He is a star. I thought y'all remembered that, considering what he did in the playoffs last year. Y'all must have forgot. But when you look at them, tell me what their weakness is. They're the best three-point shooting team in the league. They've got size on the interior. They've got defensive wizardry on the perimeter. I mean, they can shoot. They pass the ball well. They defend. They rebound. They block shots. They're the number one seed in basketball. They've thus far have definitely looked better than anybody else in the Western Conference. So to me, based on what Doc Rivers said, I can understand where he's coming from because LeBron is LeBron, AD is AD, and the playoffs have yet to start. But the Clippers obviously haven't proven to be that team as of yet. So if I'm going to sit up there and say the Lakers and the Clippers still a team to beat in the West, if I'm Utah, I would say, all right, the Lakers are the reigning defending world champions, but what the hell are you throwing the Clippers into that sentence for, Doc Rivers? That's what I would feel like if I were the Utah Jazz.
I think that's a perfectly fine, reasonable position to take. Utah's been excellent this year. The team that should feel most disrespected is the Denver Nuggets.
Okay.
Denver Nuggets beat Utah in the first round in a classic series. No Bogdanovich, but you know who Denver didn't have? Aaron Gordon, who they now have. You know who wasn't really that dude yet? Porter Jr., who now is. Who's shooting like 44% from three.
He's a special offensive talent.
He certainly is. And look, Paul Millsap's coming off the bench now. They just got Aaron Gordon, who's a skywalker. And by the way, having a good shooting year. Here's the thing about Denver. Not only did they beat Utah round one, and they just added Aaron Gordon, they knocked out the Clippers round two. They knocked out the Clippers. So who should feel offended by that? I don't know. The team that beat the Clippers last year? And by the way, the Clippers do pick up playoff Rondo, and that's a real thing. Rondo goes in the regular season from not average starting point guard quality. I mean, they're got more than 15 guys better in regular season when the games don't matter that much. When the games matter in the playoffs, Rondo's an all-star. Playoff Rondo is real. Know what else is real? Playoff Jamal Murray. Because Jamal Murray doesn't go from below average in the regular season to all-star in the playoffs. Jamal Murray went last year from almost kind of an all-star caliber player in the regular season to MVP in the play. He played an MVP caliber in the playoffs. Now, what's the difference between Utah and Denver? Utah's got one of those guys in Donovan Mitchell. Denver's got two of those guys. And in the playoffs, that's what matters. Who do you have? If you have other pieces too, which Denver does, who do you have that can be an MVP caliber player? Jokic, who could win the MVP this year. Jokic is having one of the best offensive seasons ever. He's amazing. But he might not even be the best player on the team come playoff time, the way Jamal Murray played in the first round last year, and the second round for that matter. Jamal Murray and Jokic give them a two-headed monster on top of MVP caliber players that very few teams can match, and that includes Utah. The Aaron Gordon trade puts them over the top. I think it's Denver.
By the way, just a slight correction. The Utah Jazz are number one in three-pointers made. The Clippers are number one in three-point percentage shooting. Yeah. All right, so I just want to make sure I corrected that point. That's number one. Number two, I get where you're coming from, but we're talking about this year. We're not rewinding the clock to last year and what transpired in the playoffs. We're talking about based what we've seen this season. Doc Rivers is saying that what he said essentially based on what we've seen. When AD and LeBron is in the lineup, we see how formidable the Los Angeles Lakers were this season. When the Clippers, when Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are playing, we've seen how formidable they've been. But the Utah Jazz are 34-11. They're the number one seed in the NBA. They have been flat out balling. And we just got to look at their coaching staff and the exceptional job that they're doing and the way that they play together and how they're beating you for the perimeter. If this was a team with the same exact record, Max, and they sat up there and they had this record and they were this formidable because Rudy Gobert was leading the way and Donovan Mitchell was still averaging 24, I wouldn't have that mentality. It's that right now you're looking at them. Again, number 1 in three-pointers made. All right, number 2 in three-point percentage shooting. You got who you got? Jordan Clarkson. He's
great sixth man nowadays.
He could potentially win Sixth Man of the Year award.
Yeah.
Quinn Snyder could win Coach of the Year honors. Legitimately, you see the things that Rudy Gobert could be your defensive player of the year.
In the playoffs,
All I'm saying, but what I'm saying is, in the playoffs, what wins for you, particularly in this day and age? The ability to defend, and to hit threes.
Fine, but in the playoffs, the Nuggets have 2 superstars, and the Jazz have 1.
Well, what I'm saying
in Donovan Mitchell.
What I'm saying
Let me say
is,
something.
Denver lost.
Let me say something. Well, to the Lakers eventually. Okay. Aaron Gordon. When he's supposed to be the best player on your team, because his shooting really, this year it's better, but it didn't come around to the extent you might want to like it to come around. No. But it kind of reminds me of Iguodala, not in terms of the style of play, but when Iguodala's supposed to be the best player on the Sixers, come on, that's a little bit of a stretch. You're not going to win a championship that way. When he's the 4th best player on your team, Aaron Gordon now doesn't have to worry about carrying a team. He can just fit in. That dude with that athletic ability and attitude,
fit in.
A good kid can fit into that team. That's a problem.
He's not a minus, but how much of a plus? We'll find out.
Oh, Millsap's on the bench now.
All
right, according to BPI, they have
Roger 40. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.